All right, guys. So, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing fine. So, I would like to welcome you for this seminar on management accounting session. My name is Rakut Fonasono Sarinda from Group 13, and I will be serving as your moderator today. Before we start, I would first like to thank our lecturers, Sir Riwayadi and Mamarita Rahayu, for making today's presentation possible. I also would like to thank you all for your presence today. Now we can start. So today you will be hearing presentation from the group 11 on this very timely subject. So uh, the group 11 is composed of Miftahul Jannah, also Jeremia, Aprilianto, Maldin, and finally Nadhratul Hikmah. So the group 11 will be presenting about backflush costing, cost accounting, and cost management in the JIT environment. So I hope this presentation will give you insightful knowledge. So now group 11, sorry, time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Linda. For the first explanation, I will explain about GNT or just in time. GAT is a comprehensive production and management system inventory where raw material are purchased and produced as much as needed and used at the right time in very production process. In a broad sense, GIT is a philosophy that focuses on the occurrence of activities that required by internal segment of an organization. The fundamental aspects of GIT are, first, all activities that do not add value to the product or service are included in the activities or research that will be the target of reduction or elimination. The second is there is a commitment to improve high quality and to do the right thing and according to standards so that there are no defects and no time for reward. And the third is continuous improvement in efficiency activities. And the last, simplify and increase visibility with emphasis on value-adding activities. This will be help to identify non-value-adding activities. Next slide, please. Basic principles of GIT. First, produce according to the order of the master production schedule. The new manufacturing system will be put into operation to produce reading products after obtained certainty that there is an order in a certain amount entered. The main goal for producing finished goods on time and limited to the amount you want to consume only. For that the production process will produce as much as needed and as soon as possible send to customer who need it to avoid stock killing and to suppress the storage costs. The second one is production in small quantity. Production is carried out in small lot size to avoid planning and complex time lags as is the case in bulk production. Flexibility production activities will be carried out because it makes it easier to carry out adjustment in the production plan, especially in the face of change in demand market. The third, reduce waste or eliminate waste. Continuous product flow improvement. The main goal is to eliminate unproductive process that can hinder the smooth flow of production. The fourth is product quality perfection. Product quality is the goal of GIT application in production system. Here it is always strive to achieve the condition of zero defect by doing total control in every step of the existing process. All forms of deficiency should be identified and corrected as early as possible. And the fifth is respect for all people or employees. With the just-in-time or JIT method in the production system, each worker will be given full opportunity and authority to regulate and devise whether a flow operation can be continued or must be discontinued because a serious problem is found in one specific workstation. And the last one is reducing all forms of uncertainty. Next slide, please. GIT philosophy. The first one is elimination of all non-value-added activities, and then commitment to a high level of quality, and then commitment to continuous improvement, and then emphasis on simplification, increasing visibility of all value-adding activities. Next slide, please. Objective and option in cost counting. The cost accounting or management system has two main objectives. The first one, product cost and planning and control. Cost accounting techniques to meet this objective is include: first, there is a cost or benefit test to design and change a management accounting system. If the system is complex and time-consuming, the manager will authorize installation and other change to improve collective operation. The second one, a product costing and control system tailored to the underlying operation, not the other way around. And then deficit control in our product costing system. This system includes accounting, budgeting, and variance analysis. And the last one, source of management information in addition to the management accounting system. Next. Change to cost counting. Change in cost counting will result in the following. The first, product cost information is more accurate and then better control of incurring costs. In a JIT environment, the focus is on reducing total cost for the organization as a whole. Change takes two forms. First, to minimization or elimination of dysfunctional decisions associated with the existing cost accounting system, and then beneficial comparison of accounting variables to non-accounting variable in cost control. And then reducing system control. Many existing cost accounting systems are expensive, complex, and time-consuming for managers and accountants. A key element of JIT is the simplification of activities, including cost system and operational areas such as purchasing and production. Next. JIT purchasing. Just-in-time can reduce the time and costs associated with purchasing activities by first, reduce the number of suppliers to minimize the research devoted to negotiation with suppliers. The second, determination of price and quality level that can be agreed upon in long-term agreement with suppliers, thereby reducing costs in every purchasing process. And the third one, have a buyer or customer with an established purchasing program. And then fourth, eliminate or reduce activities and costs that are not added value. And the last, reduce time and cost for quality inspection programs. Next. Implication for cost counting. The first, improve direct cost tracking. In a traditional purchasing environment, organizations usually classify costs from operation and facilities as indirect costs, but at just-in-time, these operating costs can be classified as direct costs. This will result in increased tracking of costs directly to individual retail areas or production lines. And the second one, change the cost pool used to accumulate fees. In the traditional purchasing process, separate cost pools are used for activities such as purchasing, material handling, quality inspection, and warehouse facilities. These costs are allocated to the production department by, first, each cost is allocated to each production department, and the second, purchasing, warehouse, and related costs that are collected in one or more aggregate cost pools are allocated to each production department. For the next slide, we'll present it by Chita. Chita, time is yours.
Okay, I will continue the presentation. Next is JIT change the basis used to allocate indirect costs to production departments. The cost allocation methods survey reports that the space occupied in a warehouse is a common allocation base for purchasing and raw material costs in a traditional environment. In a pure JIT environment, there is no warehouse, so an allocation base is not available. And next is reduce emphasis on individual purchase price variance information. In the traditional purchasing environment, many organizations emphasize the difference in purchase price. Favorable purchase price variables can sometimes be achieved by buying in a larger quantities to take advantage of discount or by purchasing lower quantity materials. In a JIT environment, the emphasis is on total cost operations, not only the purchase price. These factors are quality and availability, which is given greater emphasis, even if accompanied by a higher purchase price. As always, the cost accounting system must be tailored to the underlying operating activities. In JIT purchasing, the underlying process focuses on long-term commitments that reduce total operating costs. Next is JIT reduce the frequency or detail of reporting purchase shipments in internal accounting. In a JIT purchasing environment, the number of shipments of goods increases substantially. Organizations have attempted to reduce the cost of processing information in their internal accounting system in one or more of the following ways. First, batching or summarizing individual purchase shipment for separate transaction for each shipment. Next, by using by electronic transfer system where the initial purchase order automatically arranged for electronic data transfer on the delivery date and electronic data transfer on the payment. And the last is reorganization of accounts payable section. Next is just-in-time production. The goal of the just-in-time production strategy is to reduce costs and increase the capital turnover ratio by eliminating any waste. JIT should be viewed as something broader than just an inventory control program. Characteristic of operating activities. In the JIT production environment, each component is manufactured as needed in the next step. Key elements of JIT production include production line are run on demand, so activity at each workstation is authorized by downstream workstation request. Second, emphasis is placed on reducing production lead times. Reducing lead times allows the company to respond better to change in demand, but also reduce change in suppliers' orders. Third is the production line is stopped if the work in progress is damaged. And the last is the emphasis is on simplifying activities on the production line so that areas where non-value-added activities can be eliminated. Next is principles in the JIT production system. Production is organized in manufacturing cell pattern where the manufacturing cells consist of machine grouped in groups, usually in the form of semicircle. The machines are arranged so that they can use to perform various operations occasionally. Each cell is prepared to produce a specific product or product set. Products are moved from one machine to another from to start finish. Workers were assigned to cells and trained to operate all the machines in the cells. Second, an interdisciplinary or multitasking workforce perform various tasks from a variety of operation to minor operation as well as routine operation. Workers are capable of direct production work. Workers can perform preparatory tasks, move semi-finished goods from section to section in cells, perform preventive maintenance and minor repairs, perform quality inspection, and perform cleaning tasks. Third is production on a demand pool basis, so that the activities at each workstation are determined based on the request from the next workstation. And fourth is attention is paid to reducing manufacturing lead time. The waiting time for an order to be ready to start on the production line until it becomes a finished product. The reduced lead time will make the company able to respond to the change in demand better and can also reduce change in multiplier orders. And the fifth is automation is automatic defect control unit that this will not allow defect unit to flow to the next process. Six is the emphasis is also on simplifying activities in the production process or line so that areas where non-value-added activities occur will be clearly visible and can be eliminated. And the last is suppliers are selected based on their ability to deliver quality materials within the stipulated time. Companies that are apply production JITs in general also apply purchase JIT. Next is the organization adopts a JIT production approach in the context of change to improve direct traceability at several costs. Direct tracing of cost item can be improved in two ways. First, change in the basis of operating activities, and second is change in traceability directly to cost. Second, eliminate or reduce cost pools for indirect activities. This change is related to improving cost traceability and can be achieved in several ways. First, changing basic production activities and eliminate non-value-added activities. Third, reduce emphasis on individual labor and cost-variant overhead. Fourth is reducing the level of detailed information recorded on work tickets. The key aspect of JIT is the simplification of all activities that will affect work ticket information. There are several ways to simplify work tickets in JIT production. First, by change production process so less material per finished product. Second, only direct material are recorded on the work tickets. All other costs are charged during the period. And the third is the level of detailed information recorded regarding labor cost is reduced by keeping direct labor in the direct category by reducing the individual classification of labor, which will make it easier to record information. And the job costing system was changed to process our backflush product costing. Most factories make change to each basic costing with JIT production through the following approach. First, by changing job costing to process costing. JIT adopts production lines on a constant basis, which is why process costing is chosen. In addition, the costing process can emphasize product quality so that the JIT plays a major role in eliminating damaged or defective goods. Second, by changing jobs. Now the costing process to backflush costing. This is the reporting details in the product costing system. Job costing is most detailed, then the backflush costing is least detailed than job costing. Okay, next presentation will be presented by Jeremia. To Jeremia, time is yours.
Thank you, Miftahul. Can you go to the next slide? The next subtopic is about changes in cost accounting in JIT production. Changes in cost accounting in JIT production affect the cost itself. A, more accurate cost information. B, there is a better control of the incurrence of cost. And C, reduce the system costs that affect the first one, a reduction in the level of detailed information recorded on the work ticket. The second one is a reduction in the level of detailed information recorded on labor cost. Next slide, please. Next, about the cost management in just-in-time environment. First one, cost planning. Before production is carried out, companies that implement JIT also carry out cost planning, where in some cases it is found that cost planning is carried out before the production line is made. Product designers and plant engineers are critically involved at this stage in designing product and production lines with a mix of cost, quality, and flexibility that reflects management strategy. At this stage, the emphasis is on eliminating non-value-added activities in the product. The second one is cost reduction. Cost reduction is carried out during the production and production stages. This reduction can be in the form of manufacturing lead time or waiting time, inventory of materials, work in process, and finished products, transfer time, direct and indirect labor, factory room, and etc. The third one is about cost control. Cost control is done when production starts. Sources of information for cost control activities are A, personal observation by production line workers, B, financial performance measures, or such as inventory turnover ratio, variance based on the standard cost for raw materials, labor, and C, non-financial performance measurement like lead time, setup time, and etc. Next slide, please. Changes in financial performance measurement and financial in the production system JIT, including A, financial measures such as the inventory turnover ratio like COGS that are expected to increase. B, non-financial measures related to inventory quality and time, such as first one, numbers of the material on hand expected to decrease. Second, unit produced in hours expected to increase. Third, percentage of damaged or defective units or total units produced is expected to decrease. For manufacturing cycle time or manufacturing cycle time of production expected to decline. And the last, total setup time is expected to decrease. Next slide, please. Next, about the JIT simplification. Simplification is the elimination of unnecessary things. Simplification can be in the form of simplification of products, process, and procedures that will result in a reduction in a certain amount. The simplification effort refers to trying to achieve the same result in a simpler, more basic way or by using fewer inputs. In addition, simplification also means removing features that will not add value to the product. There is considerable variation in the changes made to the cost pools used. The selection of allocation basis, the cost system adoption, and the types of performance measure used in JIT. Activities that add value can be further enhanced, and activities that add value cannot be eliminated. Nevertheless, the JIT method has proven that significant changes in the underlying operation are likely to justify appropriate changes in the accounting system, while manufacturing costs in the accounting period flow quickly into cost of goods sold. The rapid change from direct materials to finished goods that are immediately sold greatly simplifies the cost system. Next slide, please. Next, about the backflush costing. Backflush costing is an abbreviated approach to the accounting of manufacturing costs. Backflush costing can be applied to just-in-time system where the speed is so high that traditional accounting is no longer practical. A backflush costing system focuses on the output of an organization and then works backwards when applying costs to units sold and inventory. The purpose of backflush costing is to reduce the number of events that are measured and recorded in the accounting system and to delay the recording of several journal entries until the end of the production period or the end of the sales cycle, so that the costs for its implementation are lower than the other two costing systems. The difference between backflush costing and job order costing and process costing is the lack of detailed tracking of work in process cost. The inventory account is no longer adjusted during the accounting period, but the balance is corrected using the journal entry at the end of the period. Backflush cost of goods method. The backflush costing method is applied in companies that have implemented just-in-time concept for their inventory. The goal of JIT inventory is to minimize the inventory of raw materials, work in process, and finished goods, even if it's possible to have zero inventory. This is done by means of a POS system. With a POS system, the company will allow the company to have zero inventory for raw material inventory and finished good inventory. Furthermore, to zero work in process inventory, it is done by reducing processing time. The shorter the processing time, the smaller the work in process inventory the company has. If the processing time is only a matter of hours, at the end of the accounting period, the company will have a work in process inventory that is so small or insignificant that it can be considered zero. The application of JIT concept has an influence on the production process, which becomes faster so that the processing time starting from raw materials proceed to the finished product is reduced to several months, weeks, or even hours. Backflush costing is a method of collecting production costs by eliminating some of the journal entries related to the stages starting from the purchase of raw materials to the sale of finished goods. Next slide, please. And this is the last slide about order of recording traditional cost collection method. It's divided to 4 stages. Stage A, stage B, stage C, and stage D that you can see on this figure. Using the backflush cost calculation, one or more journal entries are omitted depending on the level of application of the JIT concept. The backflush cost of goods calculation simplifies the costing system without losing a lot of information. The backflush cost calculation is similar to a physical system in an inventory recording system. In a physical system, no journal entries are made when the raw materials are used directly and when the finished goods are finished. In addition, an inventory subsidiary ledger is also not created. Inventory recording with a physical system is simpler than perpetual. That's all for our presentation. Back to moderator.
Thank you so much, Group 11, for this insightful presentation. So now, guys, we are opening the question and answers session. So if you have any question, you can open your mic and ask directly to the Group 11, or you can just type it in the chat room here. So yeah, now time is yours. All right, so we got our first question from Avelia. She's asking about if Group 11 can describe the characteristic of companies that can apply backflush cost of goods calculations. We have also another question from Julius, which is what are the advantages and disadvantages of backflush costing? Also, another one from Nazif. He is asking about the difference between just-in-time and just-in-case concept. And so which of the two is better? There is also a question from Fifin related to the material that has presented, which is what is the benefit advantage of using backflush costing? So I think this one is almost the same as almost the same as the previous one. So there is also a question from Mefa. In what kind of industry the just-in-time production system used the most? Also from Richard. Can you please explain the difference in recording production costs between backflush costing calculations and traditional costing calculations? Also from Putri. Can you explain the differences between the 4 alternative trigger points for recording production costs in, production costs in calculating the backflush cost of goods? There is also one from Aisha. So she's asking about how does backflush costing simplify traditional costing system? So, okay, there is another one from Nurul. Also, she is asking about why backflush costing is used in the just-in-time environment. So we have a lot of questions here. So Group 11, we will give you a few minutes to discuss. So the others, if you have more questions, you can still type in the chat box. But now we will give time to Group 11 to discuss and answer your questions. So thank you so much for all your questions.
Okay, I will try to answer Amelia question. Affiliation is describe the characteristic of companies that can apply backflush cost of goods calculation. The calculation of the backflush cost of goods is applied in companies that have applied the just-in-time concept to their inventories. The goal of JIT inventory is to minimize inventory of raw material, work in process, and finished good, even if zero inventory is possible. To zero finished good inventory and raw material inventory, the company only produce as much as the customer orders and buys as much raw material as needed and production. That's all my answer. Do you get it, Amelia? Okay, thank you, Avel.
Okay, next I will try to answer the question from Ananda Putri. Can you explain the differences between the four alternative trigger points for recording production cost and calculating the backflush cost of goods? The first alternative used three trigger points, namely at the time of purchase direct materials and conversion cost incurred, which is the stage A, the resulting finished goods stage C, and the sales of finished goods stage D. And for the next trigger point, the B, the second alternative used two trigger points, namely at the time of purchasing materials, direct raw materials, and the cost of conversion, which is stage A, and the time of sale, stage D. The second alternative is used if the company has a very small work in process and finished goods inventory. Next, the third alternative also used two trigger points, namely when finished goods are produced, stage C, and when finished goods are sold, stage D. The third alternative is used if the company has very small inventories of direct materials and work in process. And the last alternative is the fourth alternative, use only one trigger point, namely the time of sale or stage D. The fourth alternative is used if the company has a very small inventories of direct materials, work in process, and finished goods. Do you get the point, Putri?
Oh yeah, I got the point, Jerry. Thank you so much. Next question from Bang Nazir. The question is, what is the difference between just-in-time and just-in-case concept? Which of the two is better? In the just-in-time system, ordering goods or raw materials or finished goods to supplier based on the quantity requested by the customer. In the just-in-case system, in the opposite of JIT, in the system to reduce the risk of not being able to fulfill customer requests, the inventory of goods to be processed cannot be empty. The amount cannot be less than the safety stock and has been used as a benchmark. In my opinion, the GIT system is better because with fewer items that are stored, the management of goods in the warehouse becomes easier and the risk of damage to goods is also reduced. The research needed to manage the storage goods are minimal, and then the turnover of goods is fast. Automatic turnover of capital is also fast. The less capital is stuck in the form of goods stored in the warehouse. Do you get the point, Bang Nazif? Thank you.
Okay, we'll try to answer Julius' question. The question is, what is advantages or disadvantages of backflush costing? In theory, backflush costing appears to be a sensible way to avoid many complexities associated with assigning costs to products and inventory. Not logging costs during the various production stage enable companies to save time and reduce their expenses. Companies looking for ways to reduce their bottom lines may use backflush costing, but it isn't always an easy accounting method to implement. However, backflush costing can also be challenging to implement and is not an option available to all companies. Moreover, there are some often big caveats. Businesses that do backflush costing like a sequential audit trail and may not always confirm the generally accepted accounting principle or GAAP. That's all my answer. Do you get it, Julius?
I get that point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julius.
Next, I will try to answer the question from Vivian. I want to ask related the material that has presented, what is the benefit or advantage of using the backflush costing? Backflush is easier and less costly than the other conventional costing method, which provide us with comprehensive information that the other conventional costing method not provide. Benefit may be derived higher than the cost involved in implementing the backflush costing. This method of costing tries to eliminate non-value-added activities from costing system. Under GIT, production process, work in process is typically less than the cost of goods manufactured and sold. Backflush costing is a system that applies cost to products only when manufacturing is complete. The major advantage of backflush costing are: the first one is help maintaining minimum inventories, the second reducing defect and manufacturing lead time, the third enable procurement, manufacturing, and sales on time, and the last is ensuring timely delivery of the materials. You get the point, Vivian?
I get the point. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay. Next, I will try to answer the question from Kak Meva. In what kind of industry the just-in-time production system used the most? The just-in-time inventory system is most used on the company that need to provide more efficient use of working capital. For example, like Toyota that use JIT system to help the company make the system that can make the process of the company more efficient and typically relies on long-standing contract within the local supply chain to deliver the different part in it needs to assemble the automobile. That's all my answer. So you got the
Okay,
point.
thank you, Jeremia and Group 11.
Okay.
Next, I will try to answer the question from Richard. Explain the difference in recording production cost between backflush costing and calculation and traditional costing calculation. I think the answer is backflush costing is a method of collecting production costs by eliminating some of the journal entries related to the stage from the purchase of raw materials to the sale of finished goods. And then the traditional cost of goods calculation method is more complicated because the recording does not follow every production process. The traditional costing system has 4 recording trigger points. Do you get the point, Richard?
I got the point on that. Thank you so much for your clear and good explanation.
You're welcome.
Okay, I will try to answer Aisha's question. The question is, how does backflush costing simplify traditional costing system? Okay, backflush costing system is a product costing system that is normally used in just-in-time inventory environment. So this costing can use to delay the costing process until the completion of the production of goods. The feature of a traditional costing system is eliminated by backflush costing, the cost at the end of production process and assigned to the goods. That's all my answer. Do you get it, Aisha?
Yes, Chita, thank you for the answer.
Okay, thank you, Aisha.
Okay, the last question from Nurul. Why backflush costing is used in the just-in-time environment? Because in this environment, work in process and finished good inventories are minimal, and goods are sold as they are produced. In backflush costing system, no effort is made to track materials and components from materials warehouse through work in process and finished goods. Backflush costing system eliminates transaction to record the movement of raw material to work in process inventory. In addition, movement of inventory are not reported until finished goods are produced. Do you get the point, Nurul?
Yes, I got the point. Thank you, Nada.
Nurul.
Do you have more questions, guys? So if there is no more questions, I think we come to the end of this session. So I would like to thank you all for your active participation, to all the persons that ask questions also. Thank you so much, Group 11, for this really interesting topic, and also our lecturers that make today's presentation possible. So thank you everyone for your participation and your presence. I really hope that you all enjoyed today's presentation. So that's all for today. Have a nice day and thank you again.